All you're doing here is uploading a transcript, filling out 3 or 4 questions, and in 7 minutes, you have 7 assets. If you're a course creator, if you're a content creator, you're constantly on Zoom calls, coaching, doing all this, we want you to go in, we want you to try it out. We want you to get a feel for what the real OG is going to be and the quality of the writing that you're going to get, along with the authenticity that is going to come with this. All right, and welcome everybody. I am absolutely super excited. I've been working on something with a good friend of mine that I'm about to introduce for probably close to 3 months, something that we've been slowly trying to test and making sure that it works right before we actually release it to the public. And even now we're in beta, but we're so super excited. We can't wait anymore because we definitely want to make sure we share this with the world. So more importantly, everybody knows who I am, Nuno Tavares, automated marketer. I'm bringing you AI news, everything that's been going on, giving you practical things that you can actually use in your business today. And right here, I have a good friend of mine. We've known each other close to now going on 4 years, Brian Bogert. We've worked in different little tiny projects together, but we got super excited because Brian and I have been trying to work together in a different project for a long time. And then we finally found a little niche that we wanted to tackle. And again, I don't want to do any disjustice to kind of Brian and letting you introduce yourself because again, Brian is a coach of coaches. And Brian, just give us a little bit about who you are and what you do, and we'll get into what we got to offer today.
Yeah, man. I mean, I always start first and foremost, I'm super excited that we finally got on this path. We're aligned and that everything is connecting at this point. We always knew it was a matter of if, not when, or, when, not if. And that's where we're at right now is we're working in this together. I always say that I'm a husband and father first, but I start with that because though I've said that for 20 years, my actions, my words were not always congruent, despite great intent. And there's a lot of work that I had to do through my life to ensure that my voice was effectively captured and actually being understood in the world. In fact, a lot of that was ripped away from me very early. And I'll keep this high level because it's relevant, but it's not going to be the whole focus of today. When I was 7, I was run over by a truck and my left arm was completely torn from my body, reattached in 24 surgeries. And a lot of the things that I learned early around the quality of voice is one, that most people never ask questions. 2, when they did ask questions, they didn't believe me, even if I was wearing my own truth. And then last, even if they accepted my truth, many people would start to change or dilute or project into the future what my life, what my voice, what my impact was going to be. Nevertheless, a lot of that manifested in ways that kept me really disconnected. And therefore, it was one of the big reasons I stayed away from AI very early in the approach.
I remember having these conversations with you. You're like, oh, I don't know. This is, it kind of goes against like my belief system.
Yeah, I was adamantly against it because I had worked so effectively to find my voice, stand in my voice, and then to work with others to help reflect that same thing. Why? Because I think our voices are our greatest asset. It's what shows up in our business. It's what shows up in our leadership. It's what shows up in our communication. It's how we connect. Our voice is how we create impact. And so I'm seeing all these people overnight become instant long form content creators when they didn't have an original thought before. And now all of a sudden I'm seeing this trend where people are not identifying their own unique, authentic voice. They're actually starting to blend in with the crowd. They're diluting it slowly over time. And so I was very against the use of AI. In fact, what's funny is a lot of my clients used to call me Chat BMB because they'd go to Chat BMB. They'd try to get all of their content written. They'd come into a session with me and they'd say, this is where I'm stuck. This is what I'm trying to do. This is what I really want to say. And I'd just reflect it back to them. And they'd say, how did you do that? Well, I can't teach someone how to do that, but I can systematize elements of it so that it can become really impactful. And in today's world with our voice, that's one of the things that I cared most about. And I know we're going to get further into it, but at the end of the day, I care the most about helping people identify and remove the waste that they don't even know exists within their voice, within their messaging, within their sales, within their leadership, within their communication, and within their time. Because when we can eliminate the waste in our lives, we can actually exist at speed, have more impact, and do it without ever needing to hurry.
Yeah, so let's just kind of dissect and talk about a few high-level items that Brian mentioned. So it is the truth, right? There's actually a word for it. It's called slop. The slop is what's happening in the internet right now. And everybody, it's funny, we did a Gen Spark video. We had so many negative comments. Everybody's like, oh no, the internet's about to be trashed with more horrible websites and slop and everything else. There was a lot of keyboard warriors out that day, and they were all like commenting, there's a lot of trash kind of being put out at a very incredibly big rate, right? And what's happening is a lot of the AI is starting to sound like AI, no matter how you word it, because again, to Brian's point, you're not really putting your voice to it. A lot of people are just taking whatever it's being written and they're just kind of launching it out there, websites, everything else, and not really putting any kind of authenticity into it. Now, the craziest part about this is going to be a growing trend. And right now, I would say we're at like the beginning part that's starting to accelerate at a really high pace, but a lot of people are already starting to see it. And again, there's now even a technical word for it called slop. AI slop, because it's like all the jargon and all the words that AI likes to use and build and put, and people are getting lost in the minutia. So all that creativity and individuality is really kind of going away. And, again, why I love Brian so much and why we've kind of like hit it off right from the beginning is Brian is as authentic as you're going to get. Like there is truth, lies, there's all kinds of stuff, but like Brian is like the real thing. Right? As much as I love to use AI, I myself have find like haven't always put in, well, I don't sound like that. You're not writing it in the voice that I want you to write it in. Hey, I would never say things are skyrocketing. It's got like all these key frame words. And then in talking to Brian about it, Brian said, you know what? I think I'm using AI at a different level than somebody else is. Now, of course, being the skeptic, I go, well, I don't believe you. So Brian says, well, let me show you. So Brian had a bunch of series of prompts and things that he had, and they had a really, I would say, devised mechanism of taking like concepts and ideas and just words and then kind of putting it through this system and it coming out like the actual person that was actually originally created it with not losing any of its integrity and more importantly, not having a lot of that slop that I'm talking about. Right. And that a lot of people are starting to see. And then that manifested into, holy smokes, an enormously big project that we took on that we've been putting beta people through. And everybody's super excited because of what we're about to show you today. So, Brian, why don't you go a little bit deeper into what it is? And then we're just going to kind of like cut right to it and show you exactly what we created.
Yeah, well, like every entrepreneurial or everything that's ever been built, it was built originally for my own needs. And so I start with that because I think it's important to highlight that it was built for my own needs, but yet I also I lacked in some of the technical ability to make it happen in the way that I wanted, which is why I reached out to you instantly because you're the genius that helped me pull this all together. But educational marketing is a really important thing. And though I teach it, though I leverage and scale it through my own mastermind and a lot of the things that we talk, what's funny is despite all the things I do, Nuno, I'm still known as just the emotion guy, right? And I say that not with any disrespect because I'm okay with that. I fully own the role that I do in helping people remove the things inside them that prevent external impact in the world. But I'm also really good at marketing. I'm really good at sales. I've built and scaled and exited businesses. Like I'm strong in leadership and communication and messaging. And yet a lot of that stuff wasn't getting represented, even though we're doing it weekly in our group. And I'm dyslexic. I'm not the type of person that's ever going to take something and go create a report or a follow-up email. And so I had people on my team that were reviewing transcripts, actually going through and highlighting key notes. And they were spending about 2 to 3 hours, even alongside utilizing some AI tools. And we were getting a couple of basic assets. And I said, okay, if I'm going to be congruent, if I'm going to do this at the level that I want, I'm a big person that believes in building a system or a tool and spending 10 days, 10 hours, or 10 months if it's something I'm going to do 10,000 times or more, right? I'm going to continue doing this. And I wanted to be able to take one transcript, just a transcript from a 1-hour training, whether it was a podcast, a mastermind session, or whatever. And I wanted to be able to produce multiple assets. It started with way more than where we are launching at beta, but we've already got 2 or 3 other versions ahead of this that are ready to go. And so what did I want most essentially? I wanted to be able to deepen the impact for the people in my room, meaning I wanted to give them something more meaningful than just the recording and the transcript. I wanted them to have an actionable meeting summary that showed the emotional breakthroughs, the ahas, the clicks, the participant contributions. I wanted to be able to send an email recap with the high level points on the call to action for the week. And I wanted a timestamped summary, for lack of a better term, that was almost like a podcast. Those were all going to be internal. Then I wanted to be able to write this into a way that could become educational marketing tools. So a PR ready, for lack of a better term, Forbes style type article, rewritten into the LinkedIn type format that would maximize for the emojis, the hashtags, all of the SEO and AEO, and then ultimately writing promotional emails and different components that come from this. I wanted all of it to scrub for AI indicative patterns. I wanted it to be able to actually maximize for SEO and AEO so that it was going to remove all the metadata. And I wanted to be able to make sure that it was captured specifically towards the person's voice and with multiple tiers that we could scale over time. And today, that's what we have. Shall I go ahead and share my screen and we can just start the
Yeah, we can definitely start. And I'm just going to kind of cut to the chase of like exactly what this thing does. While you are a coach, imagine taking the transcript from basically your Zoom call that you had in the sessions. And I do about like anywhere from 15 to 20 Zoom calls a week. And imagine taking all those Zoom calls, putting it through a tool, and it's just spewing out a whole bunch of assets that are ready to use, that are just basically copy and paste, where you're going to take it. You can make a LinkedIn article. You can make in a post that is going to be Forbes kind of style ready. You're going to have email marketing that you can send out to your individuals with the caveat and understanding that it's going to have the absolute voice that it was meant to be, which is yours. And not only is it going to be in your voice, because Brian is such a master of like gathering that emotion and kind of like pushing and pulling that out of you in a normal session. Like if you were to get coaching from Brian, that's what Brian's known for. He is the guy that you learn who you really are and like what voice you're going to be like from. Imagine having that coach directly being pulled in a Zoom session and being able to capture it all based again in a lot of training in the AI that we've done. So that's exactly what you're going to get and what you're seeing right now. You're going to see us upload a transcript with some details that Brian's going to go over to just, get a little bit more clarity in order to really get the best result that we possibly can. And then I would say about 10 minutes or so, you're going to see all the assets start preloading in a folder inside of a Google Drive that is given to our clients. That is going to have all these assets ready and going. And now your Zoom calls that you're having with your clients with, again, thinking of privacy and all that other stuff, everything is going to get pulled out the right way, the way it needs to be, with it being ready to go to market.
Yep.
So that's the exciting part. And it's more than one asset, it's several. And wait until you see the quality of what it produces.
And the big thing that frames all of this is that it has an entire voice, tone, and delivery methodology that extracts, identifies the key speaker, all of the patterns of the other speakers. And in this most beta version, it's getting about 90 to 95% proficiency in the capture of people's voice from just a 1-hour transcript. So you'll go in and you'll upload your transcript. I want you to put whoever's running this process, whether it's you, your client, you're going to put your name and the email. This is the name of the folder that you're going to consistently be getting from there. Then you can select a session type. We already have this preset. We're going to get more granular over time and how these look. But for this, I'm just going to select a mastermind session. And if it's another one, you can say what it is. All of this to some degree is designed to be able to customize based on the type. This is key. Name of the main key person in the transcript. Now, in this case, it's a mastermind session for me that I ran, so I'm going to run this. If it's a podcast and you want this written from your guest's voice, that can be done as well. Keep in mind, whatever name you put in here is the voice that all of the assets will be written in, because it will identify and force this to be the key person. If there's any specific themes or things you want taken away, this is an optional field. You can do that if you want it to select. Otherwise, it will automatically use its own belief. And then here's where we go into the naming. So for this, it's just a mastermind session. And the date of this recording was the 25th of 25. Now, once we hit submit, this is going to go away and I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Now, for your very first time, you'll get a Google folder share right away. And then within 10 minutes, you're going to get an email. Once I get that email, I'm going to be monitoring while we're talking. I'm going to show it to you all and we'll be able to see exactly what comes out and we'll show you the folders. But here's the catch. People are saying, Brian, well, I've already got somebody that I work with that helps me with copy and structuring. Okay, cool. How much time, energy, and effort does it take for them to produce these assets, right? And how often are you having to revise, edit, or change? And how accurate is that voice to you? It may be right on, and it may be the workflow that works just for you. Again, I'm not suggesting this is for everybody. You may be saying, hey, Brian, I can go do this myself. I can produce all the assets that you just talked about. I've got a whole process, and I built a custom GPT, and I can upload all these transcripts in here, and it will work. Okay, great. How much time does that actually take you every single week? See, here's the catch. I'm a big believer in what I call time compression. And when we can identify and remove the waste in our lives, whether it's the way we react in a moment to our spouse, the way we shut down when we go to sell a product, or whether anything that comes up, like the reality is that's waste. It's wasted time, it's wasted energy, it's wasted focus. If you have a repeatable task that you want repeatable assets and your voice needs to get better over time, why would you do the same repeat task or have someone else repeat it if we can set it up to be done? What I'm saying is this will take you 20 to 30 seconds to upload the transcript, fill out the form, and you're going to get 7 assets that are already pre-crafted, pre-curated, and we'll show you the quality of these. But what I'm noticing in the marketplace is what I call voice dilution. And why do I say that? Because there's not enough people who care or put in the time and effort to actually protect the intellectual property that is your voice. No one has your voice. No one can communicate like you. Nobody uses the exact same words you do. Nobody pairs them all together the way that you do. And so if your voice is your greatest asset, why would you not protect it like you would with your greatest intellectual property? I don't want to hand it over to a writer who doesn't know my voice, nor do I want to hand it over to AI and ask them to bring in all this aggregate information or to write things on my behalf if it actually doesn't sound like me. And so that's what I'm seeing people do. But here's what's also happening. Because they're not feeding it intentionally with the right information, because they're not putting the right parameters in place to protect and guardrail, because we all know that AI has a mind of its own and it deviates and it gets hallucinations and it can act like it knows you one day and the next day it writes something in something completely different. This is about setting up a system of structure to allow consistency and scale over time. And that to me is how we protect our greatest assets. I know that my voice is one of them. And frankly, it's the truth for each and every one of you.
Yeah, and it's not even that. If we really think about it, like I said before, if you're just a person that's using a GPT, and it's so funny, I keep saying GTP instead of GPT, and people call me out on it all the time. It's like all dyslexic, again, diagnosed, not self-diagnosed either. So the point of it is again, it goes back to the theory about Slop, right? There is going to be a point in time where, again, you're going to look for things and it's all going to be either AI generated content or it's going to be stale and people are going to get tired of it. It's going to get to a point where people are going to want to verify that a human actually did it, or more importantly, that you don't have all that slop that everybody's talking about. So what's important is that you guys are understanding the impact that this is. This is especially good for coaches out there that are running masterminds, for people that are running coaching sessions, for people that are normally on Zoom calls solving people's problems that have nothing to account for it. For all the people that are struggling in building content that makes sense for you, this is you. This is the tool for you, because all you got to do is, I know we're saying download the transcript. So you can do it in one of two ways. One, you can come in and you can just download what's called a BTT from your Zoom and it will automatically go in there, or you can download the transcript, one or the other. It is super easy to do. You can do it straight from Zoom. You can do it from like your PC if you're recording it to your PC, and you just plug it in. Like I said, it's one file, 4 or 5 questions, and they're the most basic, genuine, easiest questions we could ever think of. And then once you get that and you get all these assets, again, for anybody that's out there teaching, coaching, or having like meetings of impact and value, and you want to get that lesson, that things that are coming out there on a regular basis, and you want to create massive content that is going to be in your voice, that's going to be authentic and unique, this is the tool for you. This is now in beta stage, just so everybody understands. We're enhancing it. We already are thinking of 3 different iterations that we're going to do it in, meaning evolving it every single time. We've evolved, I can't even tell you, countless times over the last 3 months, made corrections. And again, Brian is so committed to capturing that unique voice of yours and helping you pull out your own voice and getting an understanding of what that voice is, that this is not like anything you've ever had. And everybody knows that I'm on AI tools all day long. I coach and teach it all day long. And the biggest complaint I have is it doesn't sound like a real person, or you're starting to see a lot of that slop. Yep. This will solve all of that. And this is, again, a beta access now for anybody interested. And then later on, we are going to raise the price. And if you get in that beta, you'll stay locked in once this thing goes fully live and actually becomes a full-blooded, which is the plan that we have.
And we already are expanding not only the number of assets that are going to be delivered in each individual tier, but we're going to be launching 2 other tiers before too long as well. The beta is literally the set and forget, the easy, I upload the transcript. It's putting a generalized voice and tone methodology, pulling out the information so that it's accurate every single time, regardless of who the speaker is. This is one that you can use if you've got rotating speakers that you don't necessarily know or care if it's always derived or delivered just by you. But then there's going to be what we're going to call the pro tier, which has iterative learning, which means that every single transcript that you upload, which again, Nuno's talking about multiple meetings a week. I've got multiple mastermind sessions a week. Every time you upload it, it gets smarter. It gets better. It learns even more nuances of your vocabulary, the way that you use it, your sentence structure, the way you put words together within a sentence. Iterative learning, so it gets smarter as you use it more. Then the last tier is what we're going to call the custom tier. And this is where we're literally doing an onboarding where we are already setting up and pre-mapping voice and tone so that the efficiency and effectiveness is hit right out of the gate versus having to have it even just be somewhat iterative in the one session or getting better over time. This is literally things that people have hired me for years. They have come to me to give them an entire strategy and clarity in their voice, tone, and messaging. They come to me to hire me to get clarity in how do we structure these things, position these things, actually put ourselves out into the world. And now we've been able to put that methodology into a tool with Nuno and my brains put together to be able to blend the best of both worlds, technology, but heart and humanity, all delivered within less than 10 minutes. Now, we ran that transcript at, I think, 6 or 7 minutes ago, which means we're getting pretty close to this thing being complete. And so as I am looking in here and I'm looking through this drive, I will let you know as soon as it is complete, and then we're going to show you some of the different assets here.
Now, in the meantime, I did put 2 links up there, which is the same link. If you want to really check it out, we're calling it the Real OG. And the Real OG, for the main reason, it's the real old you, like the voice. It's your voice. It's everything else. So, and we wanted to make sure that everybody understands that this is, again, in beta. We've launched it. We have already a bunch of test clients that are loving it, that are creating these assets on a daily basis. They're using the tool. And what's important is they're getting it in while it's hot. Now, the reason it's still in beta is because we want to make sure before we do a full launch that this thing is working to exactly the specifications that Brian has and I have. And more importantly, we want to keep it as authentic as possible in everything that it's doing. So again, we are keeping it in beta until we feel super comfortable that this thing is going to rock it out.
So one of the things that I absolutely love, Nuno, and we're just going to talk about this because again, I'm as authentic and real as it is. This was all tested, it was all running. And of course, when we run it through this, there was an error in the workflow as we're showing it live. So here's the thing. We have in 0 situations had this thing break real time while we've been doing it, but this is the first time. And guess what? Every time we bring something into the world, that'll be the case. So Nuno, how do we want to pivot on this and where do you want to go so that we can show this real time?
All right. So we had to actually stop the recording for a little bit because ironically enough, AI did one up on us. We're not expecting the error that the whole entire AI system gave us. So Brian, I'll let you explain this one.
We went back in to debug and figure out what broke. Because again, Nuno told you I'm authentic and real. Here we are, real time. We had to break this down. It's Nuno and I doing this. OpenAI needed to verify my identity. So what that tells me is what we were using in some of our back-end agents is that we were replicating and capturing other people's voices so effectively that it needed to make sure I was a real person. And so I think in the scheme of all this, the breakdown was funny. But in the time that we paused, it literally took 6 minutes for the execution to run after we got my identity verified. And when you're done with the transcript, you're going to get an email like this. Okay. What it's going to show is the session title that you put in, what type you had in there, the date that you put in here, and then when you submitted it. So you've got the whole folder path. Then it's going to go to the session folder specific link. This is where the assets come in. Now, I'm going to slow down for just 1 second because before I jump there, your very first folder is going to show up like this. You're going to get a master folder. This is where the folder share is going to come in. You'll have a link to this every time in the email as well. And in the very first time you come in, it's going to tell you exactly what to expect, what the assets are for, where to come in, and how to use them. And then every session will be automatically foldered so that you can find it easily. Jumping back over here, the meeting summary, like I promised, right? It's written in first person. It's written in the voice that I had. It breaks down in the summary, core teachings and key themes, the emotional breakthroughs, the inspirational participant quotes, actionable takeaways, and the call to action. Now, there are names in here because this is an internal document. This internal document is to be used specifically for my mastermind. So when Nuno said earlier that people and things are going to be scrubbed, any external facing document will not have that. That same meeting summary comes down to a very simplified email that I can send out to my team that breaks it down. All of it's scrubbed, all of it's pre-formatted and set so you can copy and paste. Here's the timestamp summary that brings in logic on the key takeaways and the very specific focus on where it was. It literally even tells you the relevance of the moments, just like a podcast would, so that your team or the people within your groups can very easily navigate the transcript. Now it writes it into a PR-ready article that you can put into a blog post, you can distribute through the PR platforms, because this fits most of the formatting and structure of a lot of the large platforms. It titles it and it brings it in. It even has some segmented mapping in the sections. But look at this. This is going to be a 1,200-ish word document and writing that captures the whole essence of this group and the key takeaways. It's now rewritten for the purposes of LinkedIn. And so in that session, it breaks it down. So it's a LinkedIn format that's ready to copy and paste. It already has the built-in hashtags and emojis to maximize the reach on that platform, as well as it writes the post copy, which is required for posting an article on the platform. And then the very last piece is for the mastermind. It writes a promotional piece that brings this all back in that you can send out publicly to your broader list. Again, there are more assets that are being written, but what I wanted to show you is in these external ones, as you can see, one participant shared. It does not pull in anybody's specific information. And this is still written in my voice, in my tone, because that's what I set as the parameters. So we're talking literally 7 assets in 7 minutes. And so if you've got a copywriter or you can do this on AI yourself in 7 minutes, oh, by the way, only 30 seconds of which is your time. So put a value on your time and recognize if you're doing 1 session a week, 2 sessions a week, it doesn't matter the volume. Compress the amount of time that you would normally spend to create this level of additional value add within your programs, and then to be able to have marketing materials to show the world what you're up to.
Now, the craziest part about this whole thing is, and again, we're the details of this, and we want you to try it out. We want you to go in, we want you to try it out. We want you to get a feel for what the real OG is going to be and the quality of the writing that you're going to get, along with the authenticity that is going to come with this, because that is something that you're not going to get unless, again, you're incredibly seasoned AI, you know what you're doing, you pre-programmed all your bots. Again, but what Brian's saying is we're trying to take all the work. All you're doing here is uploading a transcript, filling out 3 or 4 questions, and in 7 minutes, you have 7 assets. Again, really hard to come by anywhere else. If, again, you're running a coaching practice, If you're a course creator, if you're a content creator, you're constantly on Zoom calls, coaching, doing all this. This is all the stuff that we're starting to use.
If you run a
internally
podcast,
inside. Podcast.
Yep. People have been using this for podcasts because it's giving a very good summary. It's giving the timestamp summary already. And then it's got articles to promote. Now, what we will be doing over time to segment is you saw all those different session types that we have. We realize that podcasters have a little bit of a more unique need on certain assets that they want to rinse and repeat every single time. Over time, we're going to build the podcast path to have even more specific relevance for podcasters. But in the time being, you still get more assets out of this process than you would otherwise. And so any one of those types of sessions, if you believe that you're creating impact in the world, if you believe that what you're doing, any words that you use, any work that you're working on is designed to create impact and move people in the world, then why would you do anything that might dilute that voice or limit the impact at its full degree? This protects your voice, protects your assets, and protects your time so that you can scale to your impact, which is the reason you started this business or your project in the first place.
Yeah. So just to everybody that's like understanding what we're doing here. So again, this is going to be our service that we're offering. We're offering a beta line pricing that we have right now. We have the link on a barcode up there. You can also type in the link that you see in the bottom of the screen here. We'll also have a link in the YouTube video so you can see it. This is something, again, that Brian and I have worked on for the last 3 months. We are releasing it. We have a lot of people in beta, and the comments we're getting in beta right now is everybody's incredibly happy with the tool. It sounds like they're authentic selves. They have content that they're publishing on the regular that is matching to what they want to be and what they want to say. And more importantly, they're doing it on a regular basis. And none of these meetings that they're having, their Zoom sessions, their coaching sessions, all this is going to waste because now they're all coming up with like 7 assets that they can leverage internally for their team and themselves, and also now externally for lessons learned and big impact items that we've been talking about. So again, if you fit any of this criteria, this is a service you're going to want to leverage because this is, again, something super powerful. And again, we're getting rave reviews about this to limited people that we've shared this to, and now we're opening the beta up to the public. So jump on it while you can. Again, we will grandfather beta pricing for the time that you stay on this tool, and I think it's going to be well worth the value of just entry alone. Once you do just one of these transcript uploads, and you're going to see the power that this thing really does. And again, just take the action. As soon as you get the assets, you're just copying and pasting, and you're putting it into your LinkedIn, you're putting it into your emails, you're sending a promotional email out, you're sending it as a meeting review to all your participants, and you're going to see a very significant change in impact with what you're doing. And again, because there's such a match to the voice and everything else. And again, it's literally filling out a form. You'll get access to the form once you have it. And again, you have your own folder, and all this will be properly filed for you. So there's no searching. There's like, oh, I forgot this lesson and everything else, because we are elaborating on this. This is becoming a bigger project. We're going to let beta launch, and then we're going to grow exponentially as far as a lot of the other add-ons we want to have with other social media areas, even possibly YouTube scripts and all this other stuff that we're planning on doing. So there's going to be a lot coming your way. So any final words really on this, Brian? I think why would people want to miss this? I think if you're a coach, content creator, person that's doing podcasts, speakers, I mean, there's so much value in this. And I just don't know, like, if you're not jumping on it, you're not jumping on it. But
I built this tool because I wish there was a tool that did this, right? I wanted to streamline and create time efficiencies. And what is already being worked on the backside. Truly, coaches, content creators, mastermind leaders, and podcasters, this is going to be a way to amplify your impact in a crazy way. And when we know how to put SEO and AEO on steroids, these assets feed it so that things are in the world, and even AI is going to pull from more authenticity in your voice from the assets that you consistently push out. So this is the chance to get ahead of the curve and to actually make sure that you're amplifying in a way that the platforms will leverage your growth. This to me is a no-brainer, especially at beta pricing. $99 at launch, and I can upload as many transcripts as I want and compress all that time. Like, it's low-hanging fruit, literally.
Yeah, no additional fees, no additional anything. You just upload it and we'll take care of the rest. So again, get it while it's in beta, while we can maintain it. And more importantly, we'll take suggestions and anything coming in because we are expanding this. We're already going into the second and third iterations as we speak, but everybody now jumping in will get that grandfather price. So please make sure you're doing it and you're taking advantage of it. And again, we'll look forward to see you guys on the other side. But again, spend a lot of time, have the Mr. Authentic voice himself here, Brian Bogert. You guys know what I can deliver and everything that we've done in AI and our side of automated marketer and everything else here. So between those two assets, knowing that we're behind this and we're backing it should give you plenty of idea that this is the real thing and we're really trying to make this thing go. So with that being said, well, yeah, exactly. What else do you need, right? So with that being said, thank you again for everybody watching, and we'll see you on the next one.